Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and today we are on an unscheduled video. This wasn't expected. So the Stash series video, which is the first in the new series, will be on Thursday instead of today. I have in front of me this month's Scrawlrbox, the UK's only monthly art subscription box, and I would also like you to please excuse my nails today. I have been renovating in the house and I've been using black paint. My nails aren't dirty, they've got black paint under them. Anyway, so the monthly art subscription box, it's a really odd shape. It didn't fit through my letterbox. My postie just kind of like wedged it in there so that I knew it was there, which was real nice of him. So we usually get a few items every month. We get a magazine that tells us all the bits and bobs in relation to the box. We usually get a sticker and a sweet as well, some kind of surface to work on, and of course some lovely art supplies, as well as some artwork from a featured artist. What more could you want in one tiny little box every single month? So let's see what's going on here. Okay, so here is our magazine, which we're going to look at last because it's got information on the supplies and we don't want to ruin the surprise. And here is our featured artist. This is a very good example of simple artwork that is absolutely stunning. It's, this is not a complicated picture, but look at it, it's just lovely. I am right into this, and this one's going up on the cave wall over there. Our featured artist is Claudia Drexage. I'm really sorry if I've mispronounced her name. An artist living in the north of Germany, and she's an optician. How very interesting. So we have her social media links down the bottom. I love this. I love things that are simple and clean and have an impact, and that is amazing. The paper that we have is the Langton, quite a good brand in conjunction with Scrawlrbox. Mould made watercolour paper. It is cold pressed, which means it'll be a little bit textured. A5 size, so that's 8.3 by 5.9 inches if you are more of an imperial kind of measurement person. We have 6 sheets, and here it is. And it feels pretty good. I'm sure we've had paper similar to this before. I don't think it was this exact one, but it was Langton watercolour paper and I really liked it. So I'm quite glad we've got some more of that. Let's see what's going on in here. How exciting. Our sweet this month is, it's a mint. Okay, that's not very exciting, but okay. Our list of supplies. Oh wow, I am the most excited person in the freaking world. It is a Graphitint paint pan set. Now, this is interesting. Derwent brought out their Inktense colours in little travel sets, and I feel that the Graphitint pencils are like really, really underrated, and I love them. They are basically water-soluble graphite that have got a hint of pigment in them. So when you put them down as pencil, they look very, very dull, and there only is like the tiniest, schminiest hint of colour, and then when you run water over them, everything, like, it's a game changer. But it gives you this lovely nice muted set of colours that contrasts completely with the Inktense situation, and I cannot believe they freaking brought them out in a set of this is going to be amazing. We do also get an actual Graphitint pencil, and this one is Midnight Black, so that's going to be like your kind of like liner pencil. This is amazing, and this is by far my favourite box. One of the things I was thinking of doing a video on actually was revisiting the liquid graphite that we got in a Scrawlrbox a wee while back, and I was going to incorporate some Graphitint pencils into that. So now I definitely need to do it because I've got these as well. So we're going to have like a coloured graphite party in a video. If you would like to see that, let me know in the comments. Why can I not get into this? Let me in, I'm excited. Oh, come on. And I love the actual construction of these Derwent travel kits. I think they're just the right size. Now mine is quite scratched and dirty, but that's okay. And here is the little swatch chart. So we've got a good range of colours, and I like the look of this very much, but I like to swatch them out myself. So you can see the difference straight away by looking at the swatches, and it helps if you take the plastic off, Jem. Oh. Yeah, so if you look at the difference between the actual pans and what they are saying the swatches are going to look like, there is a significant difference, and that's what I was saying about the water really bringing it to life. So this pan is in the same format. Oh, damn you, sunlight, go away. So this is in the same format as the Inktense one. So we've got this little sponge here for you to wipe your brush on. These travel brushes are really nice. I like them because you can fill them up with water and there's a little bung that goes in there. So you take your water with you in that, and then when you arrive at your destination, you can take this out and you just screw this on, and then you've got a fully functioning water brush with a cap on it as well to protect your bristles. So I'm a big fan of these and they work reasonably well. I'm quite fussy about water brushes and I tend to stick to one brand, but these ones are pretty good, these little travel ones. So yeah, these are also, they can be replaced. I haven't looked for actual replacement pans, but I know they are available for the Inktense ones, so I would make the assumption that they would be available here as well. So looking forward to swatching them out. The actual pencil variety, which is what I'm familiar with, looks like a normal Derwent pencil. And they are quite thick, chunky pencils, and they come in a variety of colours. I think the full set's 24. There is a nice range of colours there. They do have colour names on them as well, which is really good too. Righty ho ho, so let's take a look at the list of supplies and see if we can learn anything new about these. The Derwent Graphitint paint set includes 12 pans of water-soluble paint made from a unique blend of graphite and a hint of colour. Designed to create subtle muted tones with a beautiful graphite sheen. They contain fine graphite particles that settle into the paper grain to create a myriad of stunning effects. The naturally muted colour palette is ideal for urban and natural landscapes as well as expressive art. They're also mixable with other Derwent watercolour paints, pencils and blocks, so like the Inktense that I was talking about previously. And it comes in a small durable plastic case, conveniently sized for on-the-go art. Now I can attest to that. I don't travel a lot, but when I have gone away, I've taken the Inktense version of this with me, and they were just fabulous to carry about with you. There's also a 15% discount with Derwent, valid until the 31st of December. So if you are looking for some Derwent goodies, you can head over there and get some money off. Might treat myself to some pencils for Christmas. The Graphitint pencil, of which I am more familiar with, professional quality graphite, and is ideal for sketching with the addition of watercolour effects. Smooth texture, easy blending, smudging and layering. Water soluble, so it can be used dry, but you can add water for richer, more vibrant line work. I would highly recommend, maybe not so much for line work, but I would recommend using these pencils with water, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. The paper, now I'm interested in this because I think we've had this paper before or something very similar. So it is paper by Daler Rowney, and it's been popular among watercolour artists for years, and yes, I do understand why. It's colour stable, mould made and acid free, which helps prevent deterioration of the paint. Cold press variety is the most popular of watercolour papers with a medium texture that makes it suitable for most effects and types of watercolour painting. They're also gummed for easy sheet removal, so they just tear off at the top. Okay, so the Scrawler challenge is liquid landscape. Again, I kind of thought that they would go for something like that just with, you know, knowing the properties of these particular colours. So that lends itself to quite a lot of things. Liquid landscape, perhaps something with water, or just the fact that it's going to be a landscape and you're going to add water to it in the literal sense. So that's always nice as well. Okay, let's take a little look at our Scrawler zine and then we can swatch out our materials. So this is rather fetching. I noticed that I didn't get a Scrawlrbox sticker this month. No, not there, no sticker. Maybe we're not getting stickers anymore. Usually they have a sticker that is part of the design of the zine, and you know, they've taken like a kind of snapshot of it. But mine seems to be lacking. I know someone did leave a message in the comments of the last video that they didn't receive a sticker. Looks like it's my turn. Yeah, definitely don't have it. Looks like it's my turn this month. Oh well. Thanks, Scrawlrbox. Okay, Scrawler contents. So the mint with a soft fondant centre, I gave that to Mr. Jem, he said it was good. The artist print, and this is what the sticker should look like. And here is they're talking about the subtle muted colours. So this really is just like an overview of the supplies. So I'm really glad they've given us the pencil for outlining and stuff like that. That was a very nice addition, very thoughtful. So a quick chat with the featured artist, and as we talked about, this is Claudia. She may pronounce it Claudia. I think it would be Claudia. What's the best thing about being an artist? I do really like her style because it's quite simple, but it's quite striking at the same time. So I'm very, very taken with that. I tend to go for those kinds of things. Scrawler tips, so things to try with this particular medium. I always say I'm going to read through these and then I end up not doing it. Not so fussed this time as I am fairly familiar with it as a medium. Now interestingly, in these Scrawler tips, they are referring to watercolour, and I find that quite interesting because this piece of art was also created with watercolour. That's just something to note because quite often the featured artist has created an artwork using the supplies that are in the box. That is not the case in this occasion, and I can see they've kind of tried to sort of blend it in, unless of course they have to use this and they've just not said it, but she specifically talks about using watercolour, so that's just something to note. Okie dokie, and then we are on to our Scrawler gallery, and this was the Posca pens one. I absolutely love this box and I had such a good time with it, and I always enjoy this. I like seeing them on paper, and it's nice to see what everyone else is doing within the Scrawlrbox community too, so that's absolutely fabulous. I see they have also represented every part of the UK in this as well. We have somewhere in Wales, somewhere in Ireland, somewhere in the Peak District, somewhere in Somerset, and also the Old Man of Hoy, which is off the top of Scotland. Apparently it's one of the tallest sea stacks in the United Kingdom. I did not know that. I knew it was in my own country, but I didn't know that about it. It's quite a spectacle apparently. Okay, they're talking in their Scrawler update about shipping delays and COVID. Right, that is our Scrawler zine, so let's get down to the fun part now. I will be doing the Scrawler challenge as a separate video this month. I alternate between the upgrade and the Scrawlrbox, and one month I do the unboxing in with the challenge, and then the next month I will do the challenge as a separate video. And it's really just so that I can spend more time on it and I don't feel as if I'm having to rush and create some half decent artwork. Okay, so naturally we're going to test our supplies out on the paper that has been provided, and that will be fine and dandy. So first of all, I would like to start with the Graphitint pencil. So if you sharpen this to a pointy point, let's have a zoom in a little bit, that's better. If you sharpen this to a pointy point, you will get a fairly nice dark line out of it. And just with normal graphite, you can build it up as well to a degree. And you can get in certain amount of shading as well, so I'm just going to kind of demonstrate that. And obviously with this paper being cold pressed, there is going to be the texture of the paper poking through underneath, which I personally rather like. I'm quite fond of. A lot of people don't like it, but it's one of the things that's quite appealing. Now obviously with the black, we're not going to see that pop of colour. But you will see that when we come to the actual paints. But these, I mean, these are like properly soluble. It's not like, okay, they'll mix a wee bit with water. They are proper soluble. And I'll just take this side. But you can see the difference in the vibrancy as the pigment starts to pop out when it's activated with the water versus just the pencil on its own. And it does, if you tilt it to the light, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this, but on the graphite side there is that graphite sheen. I don't know if you can just see it on that darkest part there and no more. And that completely disappears when you add water to it. And you can work with it. You know, you can see there, I can blend out the edge where I actually scribbled with the pencil. And with this paper, it seems to give you time to work. You know, the water seems to sit on top for a little while to give you time to manoeuvre about what you're doing. And you can pull this right out really, really far. And you're not having to sort of rush to do it. So that's something that I really, really like about this paper and these pencils. I don't think I've had these two in this particular combination, but I do think it is a good combination. So let's take a little look at the paints. Now they give you this little swatch card. They give you this little swatch card, which is nice for reference, you know, if you are travelling with your palette. But I always like to swatch them out myself. So we'll start, let's start at the bottom corner, why not? Graphite grey. So I'm just going to lift some of this up on my brush. Now again, bear in mind what they look like in the palette. And when we head on to the paper, then we get an idea of what we're in for. So you can see there, the grey is actually quite close to the Midnight Black. It's a touch lighter, but again, you get to see the colours properly when you leave it to dry. So now we have Port. So again, oh yeah, that's good. So it's quite a rich colour you're getting out of it. It's not, you know, it's not kid on, it's not sort of peely-wally, that's what we'd say. Something's peely-wally, it's very pale or washed out. You're getting some really nice, deep, rich colour. I think my only, I can't even say criticism because that's not fair. I think the only thing that kind of doesn't lend itself to having this in palette form is with the pencil, obviously you can use it dry and you've only got the tiniest hint of colour and you're having to go straight in with the colour whether you like it or not. So I would say that's probably the only advantage of the pencils over these blocks. And obviously there's only 12 in here. This aubergine's really nice as well. That's a really nice shadow colour. Even if you were working in other colours, you could use a sort of muted down version of that. If I just sort of do this over here. So if I was to put this down, if you kept working over and over that, and kept adding a bit more water, you could use that as, I was thinking especially as like a shadow base around the bottom of buildings or something. So that's a really nice colour for that. And the steel blue, this is another favourite of mine. Like, I like these dark sort of moody blues. That's really nice as well. You could probably use that for a nice shadow colour too, but I just think that the oh, I've missed one. Yeah, the aubergine is a bit more, I don't know, or a bit less stark, shall we say. Right, I missed out the dark indigo there, which I like as well. I like them all. I'll pop that down there so you can see it. Oh, so you see what they're saying about how muted the colour palette is. You know, if you want vibrant colour, you would use the Inktense. If you're looking for something a bit more moody, or a bit more sort of earthy toned, then these are absolutely perfect. So let's head up to the top. These are the brighter colours along the top. I say brighter, I use that term loosely. So there we go, we've got ocean blue. Again, I just love all these colours. I love these colours. I much prefer this type of earthy tone to really vibrant colours. But I think it's because I like to work in graphite anyway, and I like to paint nature. So that's slate green. And then we're on to green grey. This, I seem to remember this being a bit of a non-entity, this colour. Yeah, it's more like a sepia sort of shade. There is a bit of green in there, but yeah. Now, according to this, I'd just like to point this out next to the swatch chart. The actual pencil doesn't look anything like the swatch that they've provided. You can see those colours. Oh, okay, but it does depend on how you swirl it about as well, because obviously there's graphite particles in there and they tend to spread out over the pigment if you move about in a sort of more frenetic fashion rather than just pulling it out one way. So that is something to note as well. We've got russet. And finally we have autumn brown. And look at that, that is just absolutely gorgeous. So there is our colour palette. It's quite warm in the cave today. It is frosty cold outside, so it's we've got the heating and everything on inside here so that I don't freeze my toes off and various other body parts. But what I just wanted to show you now is this is dry. That's not taking long to dry. If I go back in with water and just work my way over the top, you can reactivate it to a degree like you would with watercolour. Now, you may not be able to work out every single line, but you can get quite close to it, especially if you're working on a good quality watercolour paper that can cope with the water load and a little bit of scrubbing. So if you feel you've maybe got a line that's poking out a bit too much, you can go back and work it out. And again, you can go back in a couple of layers, let that dry and then go back in with your water again. So it does reactivate. So in terms of how it behaves, it's quite like watercolour in that sense. With the Inktense, you can't do that. It's the Inktense will only lift a tiny little bit, but more or less when it's dry, that's you're done. Whereas with these, you've got a lot more manoeuvrability. You don't have to work as quickly with these, and I think that makes for a much more relaxing experience in general when you're trying to create something from scratch, especially if this is a medium you're not familiar with. I'm just going to grab the Graphy Tint pencils because I wanted to show you what I was talking about earlier on. So this is my rather large pencil case. This holds all my Derwent pencils, not just the Graphy Tints, obviously. There's a lot going on in here. So I'm just going to dig out the equivalent pencils of what we've got in the pan. Alright, so I've got a little selection of these here. So this is some of the colours we've got. Most notably, this is Meadow, which is this colour here. But if you see what I'm saying, there is Meadow in just the pencil form. So it's giving you a different texture, but it's also quite different in terms of looking at it as colour because the graphite's just sitting on top of the pigment there. So it is a little bit darker. But what I was saying was, obviously, if you're drawing something, like say you've got a shape like this and you maybe want to add a little bit in, and then you've got a bit here, you can keep the definition of the pencil and you can just work in the areas that you want to with water, and you still have your outside lines or any areas that you want to be really sort of defined, and you've got that control. Whereas with this, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, you could still do it. You could absolutely saturate your water brush with a particular colour and just draw a line with it, but you're still not getting the same intensity as you get with just the pencil lines. So that's purely down to versatility. But you can see as well, the part that I've actually activated with water there is a lot closer to what's going on this little swatch than what we've got from the pans. So that's quite interesting as well. So I just want to try that out with another couple of these colours. Green grey, so that's this one here. So again, you can see the difference in the pencil is very different to what we've activated on the pan. But if I do this, you can see that it is very, very different to what's going on there. Slate green, really nice colour to use just in the pencil. I would say as well, just looking at this, in the pencil form as well, there seems to be more of that graphite aspect there. And I would imagine that's just the makeup of the pencil versus what they've had to do to put it in pan form. That's a lot closer in colour to what we've got in the pans. Got dark indigo, which was this one here. That is very blue in pencil form. But the other thing as well is that when you're using the pencils, it's nice to be able to shade in an area and keep that little bit of texture as well. Quite often if you've painted in watercolour, or even if you've used marker, sometimes it's nice to go in with a coloured pencil on the top and just add that little bit of texture. And again, we're kind of missing that with this travel set. But again, I suppose if you were on the move, it's not going to be such a big deal. It's maybe not something you're going to focus on as much. And there you go, the intensity again with just the pencil is much, much greater than what's going on here. You can really sort of build that up, whereas I think you'll be struggling with that. You would have to do quite a few layers to get the same thing. I'm glad to see though that most of the colours are quite similar to what's in the pencil format. That makes me a little bit happier, because I have found with things like this sometimes they don't always translate well into another medium, from where they started. But I think Derwent have done quite well with this in the scheme of things. So here's the port colour. Interesting. This looks a lot redder than what's going on up there. So that's not taking a pot shot at Derwent or anything like it. I love Derwent products, but it's just interesting to note some of the very obvious differences, and being someone who's used to the pencils, this is something that I'm going to look at, although you guys may not necessarily have to worry about it. But you are getting more vibrancy from the pencils rather than in the pan. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do with this in terms of our scroller challenge. The paper is absolutely fabulous. I've battered this corner here with a considerable amount of water, and it's literally not batted an eyelid at it. If I just hold that up sidewards, there is zero buckling, like nothing, absolutely nothing, which is great. Absolutely fabulous. And I'm really pleased that Scrawlrbox have sort of changed what they're doing in terms of papering. They're offering us a pad of paper. To have 6 sheets of high quality watercolour paper in my book is far more worth it than having a load of itty bitty supplies. Give us quality, we want quality, and we have definitely got quality this month. I am over the moon with this box, and to have, so I didn't even know this existed, and I use the Inktense pans a surprising amount, and it tends to be in my sketchbook, which is my favourite place to be when it comes to arting. So just to add this to my repertoire has made me really happy. I have a sneaking suspicion that if it's not available already, they will bring out a second set of these. They did that with Inktense as well. There's now 24 Inktense colours available in these little travel kits in 2 separate sets. So I foresee that if they haven't done it already, and I would definitely buy the other one because it's a nice way to to be able to take these with you without having to take a rake of pencils and a pencil sharpener. You've got everything all in one tiny little box. Right guys, that is it for today. I'm going to have a little think about what sort of Graphitint landscape I'm going to do for the Scrawler Challenge, and that video will be up in about a week's time. I would love to know your thoughts on this month's box, and if you have any plans for Scrawler Challenge yourself, I would love to hear them. And I will see you back in the cave on Thursday for another video. So have a good day everyone, take care of each other, and bye for now.